Hello and welcome back to You Up for More. I'm Jordana.
And I'm Jared, and you might notice if you're watching on YouTube, we're not in studio. We are over Zoom. We are so committed to recapping Love is Blind that we couldn't get together because I'm in Australia. If you might be, you can see it's nighttime here. Jordana's at home, but we wanted to make sure that we got a recap done. It's 11 o'clock at night here. And
hardest working man in the world.
In recapping.
I guess, since you're in Australia.
In the Southern Hemisphere. So it's good. It's great to be here with you over Zoom, Jordana. It's good to see you. And let's get into it. Let's get into the episode.
Let's do it.
What did you think of the reunion? Did you enjoy?
I did enjoy. I think they, it's funny. I always wonder what they're listening to production of that show. And I feel like they took a lot of our feedback from last reunion and changed it. They mixed it up a little bit. Musical performance at the end, a little random, but
right. I agree with you. It seemed like they took our notes. Like there was no and here's the couple from season 3 and their new baby. Like no one cares about that, and they seem to have listened to that. This was meat, and I do think part of that is because there was meat to be eaten. Like there was meat to be had, and something that we've talked about in our recaps is the Minnesota factor. The fact that this is a somewhat reserved area of the country where people don't say a lot, where a lot goes unsaid, a very a lot of being polite, but actually there's a lot more going on. Like we did kind of have the balloon that was blown up that we needed to pop here, and it did pop. I really think we got and I'll hand it to Nick and Vanessa. Like they stayed out of the way for the most part.
I agree. I think they kind of understand what they can and cannot do, which is half of the battle with this kind of thing. There were some questions where I was like, I'm not finished here. Like, why have you moved on? I need to know more in order to make my opinion about that. I mean, we could get right into the couples to get it. And before we finish all the random extra shit that they did, it was funny that in order to introduce the next season of Denver, they had the football players on.
Yes.
Which was like very random. It was funny. Mike was like, because the production quality was so low for that, he was like, did they just pay for 2 cameos and then just have instead of
so true. The guy didn't even do his lighting right.
In their dirty living room. Yeah.
Right. From the dad angle, from underneath his chin, like your dad would do to say happy birthday over a FaceTime. Yeah, it was
random.
We start with the success couple. Thank God we did them first. I was happy to get them out of the way, Daniel and Taylor. What did you think of Daniel and Taylor's moment here? It wasn't they could have said goodbye and then been they could have been hi, and then we could have gotten rid of them.
2 things kind of stood out to me in that. One is Daniel's confidence coming out. I feel like he had a swagger. I don't know, I got the girl swagger. He had almost a mustache. It was very I've immediately turned into a Minnesota dad with my wife of 40 years, and we figured it out, kids. We'll tell you how to do it.
I thought they were nice. I thought they were nothings.
The tattoo of the eyes was the weirdest part.
We got to talk about the tattoo of the eyes. I mean, when they were show the tattoo, that was the one moment where I was happy Vanessa was here, because when they showed, I think when they were he's I have a tattoo of her. What did you expect? I expected her initials.
Right. Something small and some phrase that they have together, something like that.
Right. And then it's this weird rectangular zoom in. It was as if she was looking into a prison cell and slid open an eye slit.
When I saw that, I was like, I could see how this guy would have followed you. I was like, that kind of is the work of a long mastermind game of I've been trying to get this girl for 15 years and this was part of my plan. I heard she was going on Love is Blind and now I have her tattooed. That did seem a little obsessive. And I said to Mike, I'm like, why don't you have my eyes tattooed on your chest?
Because everyone would react like Vanessa Lachey. Cool, nice tattoo. Good for you. Vanessa's eyes were that's nice. I wish I had a tattoo of Vanessa's eyes.
Not exactly subtle. But yeah, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I could see the follow thing. Maybe.
Right. It's like, if anyone explained that, you wouldn't know how to react. Oh, you have a tattoo? Yeah, I got a close-up of my girlfriend's eyes. You'd be like, well, okay, cool. No.
Yeah, like from a picture that I cropped. And it's also like just the crop. It's like the crop is so like you said, so rectangular.
It made
then,
no sense. I've never seen a tattoo like that ever. Like, I've never, and it was huge. It wasn't just like, I don't know. I don't know how you would get a tattoo of someone's eyes. So, yeah, I don't think is there anything else to talk about? You know, they talk about his mother was diagnosed with cancer, but she's doing okay. The family's getting together. The families live. You know, the dad stay with the brother. It all feels like, you know, hugs and daffodils.
yeah, it seems like one of those rare situations where everything's just clicking into place. And again, like they seem settled into like married for 20 years vibes.
Right. So let's move on to Devin and Virginia. What did you think of Devin and Virginia here, kind of rehashing what went down?
This was a case where I like Virginia overall. I think that I think that she, had a measured, like, besides the fact that she dumped him at the altar, which again, we were texting about, I think everything she said was totally valid and would bother me. I just don't see why she had to go. I mean, again, people in our comments are like, they have to go to the altar. They get punished if they don't go to the altar. On our conversation, we had this with Lauren. We asked her about that, and I would assume she would know more than us or anyone in our comment section. And she said, you don't have to do any of that.
Right.
You can dump someone at any time.
It is amazing how confidently people speak like they know the contracts that these people signed. Like, and even so, like, if season 8, you don't think we would know that already? Like, it would just be something we all know and talk about, and it was part of the show. Lauren said it. I agree with you. There's no contract. Right. There's no necessary. That would be part of the premise of the show, is that you get $50,000 if you make it to the end, and will you take the money or will you take the penalty? That's just not true. It's just not
What
true.
is the penalty? These people don't continue working for Netflix unless they're AD.
Right. Right. The AD has a lifetime contract, apparently. But it's like, I think people need to create a narrative for why someone would go to the end like that. And I don't think anyone who's not on this show can understand fully why someone would go to the end. Like, when someone goes to the end, I don't think they're an evil, horrific person. I just think they acted in a way that can't be totally ignored.
Totally. I mean, I don't think that we said this about Clay and AD on the season where he did this to her, where we were like, it's not a nice thing to do.
Right. It's just not classy. It's not.
Yeah.
Right. There's a hard way and there's an easy way. And I think the easier way is like, well, we're here with the priest who's giving the speech that Netflix had him read. And now I have a yes or no answer to give, and my family is all here to like back me up in case, someone thinks I'm wrong in this interaction. Right. And the person's totally on camera in front of everyone. So they can't diss me here. Like they can't have a debate here or ask me why. It's a little, weirdly, it's a little easier to do it at the altar somewhat than having an interpersonal conversation.
Just like it's easier to break up with someone over text for the person doing the breakup. You don't have to look at their face when they hear the news in that way.
Devin and Virginia and Sara and Ben, similarly, it felt like they kind of had a similar bent to it. I'm with you. I like Virginia. I think she's like a catch. And I think Virginia knows that, and I think she's heard the feedback from the season where everyone's told her how much of a catch she is, and I think she wanted retribution. I think she wanted to make sure that people understood that she was correct to end it with Devin. And in doing that, I don't think she made herself look any better than she did before. I don't think Devin looked any better. I think he still looked like a child, kind of a man-child. And she looked like, lovers scorned, but she still is punching down. Like, she ended it with him. So it felt like she was just hammering someone while they were down. And when she opens up with like, I'm not going to say anything that Devin doesn't want me saying on camera. And then she goes, but I will say I support the LGBTQ community and I'm pro-choice and and value members of other people with other religions.
Right. That's kind of what, right. Yes. I got what she was trying to do. You can't really have both worlds and phrasing it like that. Like the audience is a little smarter than that. And Devin, to his part, doesn't respond with like, he doesn't disagree with what she's saying.
Right.
I feel like he's just not really a worthy opponent for her. You know, we talk about on this show, like an opponent, like especially with Lauren and Dave, like who's like on the same level. And I think I agree. Like she's working with a different complete mindset than he is. Here's the thing, like for all the guys, for the 3 breakups, Devin is the one that took it the worst. Devin is the one that you weren't kind of like, he said yes first, right? Mm-hmm. I believe.
Crying at the altar. I mean, like
yes.
He is the memorable, her dad saying what? And the flower girl, like his was the most like devastating.
Yes. And I think I disagree with how she did it. I don't think that she should have brought everyone over there and we say this for everyone, but I do think because of his reaction was the least like, oh, he was going to say no too, or he seemed cool with it, like smiling the whole time like Ben was. I think she did have to come and be like, all right, like, and he signed the prenup, which she was probably hoping he wouldn't sign the prenup. I think she did have to come with like, I need to answer for why I did this. And I agree, like she could have been a little bit nicer about it. She could have been a little bit more, not throwing him under the bus. But again, she did say he was telling a different story. Maybe that's why she came with this, because she said he was telling everyone that he ghosted her and she wasn't. Right. She treated him horribly. And I think she was like, I tried to call you like a bunch after this. You didn't answer. And then you changed the narrative. And again, I think he's fighting, quote unquote, or he's in this discussion just at a much less mature, I don't want to say calculated, but less thinking about how he's going to look than she is.
You are correct. 2 things felt very apparent to me. The men were not ready for this verbal altercation that was coming. This was the majors versus the minors. The women were so much better equipped to have this discussion of their relationships and trying to, win this talk than the men were. The men had no ability. It's something we've talked about on the podcast. You and I, we've had this. We've never disagreed, but we've always talked about after a breakup, I've said, I just want to disappear. Like, I just want that person that I broke up with, or if I ended something with someone, I just want them to be the happiest, most amazing. I want that. Like, I wish every person I've ever dated nothing but the best, and I want them to get married, and I want them to be
win
happy,
the lottery,
we've talked about this. I'm not just saying this to sound good here. We have talked about breakups, and you will say, no, I want nothing but the worst. I want them to be doing worse than they did before me.
Of course.
And this, right? Am I right? So, and I thought this was evident of the men and the women here, because Devin.
But not just worse than before me, but I'm going to sit there and I'm going to analyze the breakup, and I'm going to think about every text that was sent and every move that was made, and I'm going to dissect it, and I'm going to find out what, where I was wronged, where I have my case, because I'm also I think, like we also talk about this, that women are answering to the brunch table, to their families, to their friends. We are going over this breakup with anyone who will listen, and also people are asking more. I think than men are.
No, you're right.
So we are, and that's just how we fight. We go into the details. We examine and relay everything. So when we're coming to the reunion, we've already been thinking about this for 4 months.
Right, and even in Devin's answer, like when he says like you can be with someone and not agree on everything, it's like Devin, I mean, you're just basically saying like everything she said everything you
you're
believed
agreeing.
before is true. Like and like Devin and Ben too, they kind of just wanted to be like, hey, what will be will be. We're just gonna go and move on with our lives. Good luck to you. I hope you find the one of your dreams. And these women, like, you know, Virginia, and I don't think it gained them a new. Like, it didn't make me go, oh, like Virginia was the same catch who seemed a little bit more upset about this than maybe she should have to me. Like, it was like, and listen, everything Virginia said, I'd be like, yeah, I'm with you. Like, listen, I think I would want to agree with my partner. I'm not with Devin. I would want to agree with my partner on, like, you know, our feelings towards certain communities. And I would want to have those conversations before.
Not even on the religion thing. Like, I was like, come on, Devin. Like, he's like, he could have been like, what do you mean I don't accept other religions? Like,
he took it. He just wanted out. And, you know, because then they talk about the letter that she saw from the ex-girlfriend. Even that discussion, like, he's like, you knew, you know, she made it sound like when she was like, I found this letter. When she first said it, I was like, "Oh my God! Like, you found a letter, like a love note on the desk the night before the wedding." And then Devin's like, "You've met her," and then she's like, "Well, I didn't know that they dated." Like, I don't know. It was just like too much in the margins for me to be like, "This guy's a monster." Like, and if that's the case, if you felt uncomfortable with that letter, like, again, another good reason to like. Maybe end this before everyone leaves for a cabin in the middle of Minnesota. Like, maybe a good reason to have this conversation out. Maybe a good reason to go. I mean, I guess, hey,
if that's true, I do think, okay, let's say she finds it the last night before the wedding, and she is like, well, there is this whole thing set up for like me breaking up with him tomorrow. Like, there is like there's a meeting to discuss if we're gonna break up or not. Like, maybe I should just save it for the meeting. But again, like, I don't agree with that. I'm saying, you know, maybe I could see why that might be her thought process of like,
or it could be, you know, fuck this guy. I'm gonna embarrass him. I found this letter, you know, like.
Well, what do you think about the check thing? I think that the check thing also kind of went with the letter thing of like.
And I do think trustworthy guy.
Is he a trustworthy guy? Is he a mature? It's almost like, is he like a mature guy? I mean, I also think like your ex writing you a letter about how proud they are of you the night before your wedding is a little weird. I don't think that was the reason she ended it. I do think it's like, that's a little weird. The check thing is a little weird. I could see why he's like, yeah, like if she agrees to marry me, like we got this check, but like if she didn't agree to marry, it almost felt like he wasn't sure if she would say yes.
Right.
Because he didn't tell her. He was like, well, I don't know if he was planning on keeping it if she didn't say yes, or if it was like it's just a little weird. It's clearly like there's things that it almost feels it feels the same way it felt the whole season, which is like Virginia's like his mom.
Right.
And he's like, I'm not going to tell mom that I got extra lunch money. Like I didn't get the cookie and I have an extra $1. Like, I'm going to see if I need it for Friday's school lunch. Like, it did seem very much like he's the son, she's the mom, and they're not on the same level.
Like, let's look at a future where Virginia gets married to Devin, and you know, like if Virginia said yes to Devin, I think we all would have sat here being like, you know, good for Devin, you know, like, and I you know, like, I don't think that would be like, we'd go, well, she got married. I guess that's what she wanted. So, like, I think if Virginia, like, if I was to coach her, if I was like, hey, you're going into this, like, you know, it's almost
you were
like
Jimmy.
If I was Jimmy, yeah, which is crazy. If I was to, like, talk to Virginia before going into this reunion, I would be like, listen, everyone knows you're a boss. Everyone knows you're awesome. Everyone thinks that you're, like, this total catch. I think, like, trying to win this on the reunion will result in you not really winning as much as you think you will. Like, I think if you go in there and go, listen, Devin's a nice guy, but I think I realized that it would be a step back for me in my life. That would be like enough said, you know, like I think it's almost like you pushed too hard and it didn't get you the result you wanted. I don't know how she feels. I would wonder how she feels after this.
Yeah. I don't think she was like, she came off like crazy punching
No.
down. Like, I think it was like it was more subtle, or almost like the tone of her voice and the way, even though she actually did say she's not going to speak for him, and then she said all the horrible things that she thinks that she doesn't believe.
I'm not going to say he hates anybody, but I love.
Right.
It's quite a setup. It was quite a. It was quite a move by her.
She's like, he really didn't want to talk about how he hates Muslim people on camera, but and so I'm not gonna go there. But I'm just saying that I don't.
It was. I was like, man, the gloves are off.
Yeah. But it's funny because she didn't seem angry at all when she was saying it.
No,
so to me it didn't come off like that. Punching down, but I totally see what you're saying.
Well,
it's
because only because I just see her as like, again, like I see her as like a sophisticated, like, gets it person. Like it's only because I think highly of her that I think that this was like a little bit plotted, like.
Right.
And Devin, again, like, he just was like a child. Like, she talks about the birthday thing and how she tried to, like, put together this birthday thing. And it's like, he, again, like you just said, like, it sounds like the kid who's like, Mom, did you make meatloaf? Like, it's just like, like, it was like this adult birthday celebration. And he didn't really grasp it. Like, I didn't need her to tell me that, but we got it, which
she did the right thing, I think, but like, not again. I would have done it the morning of the wedding, day before the wedding, but other than that,
listen. And we're living in a world where you don't have to go up to the altar. Like, there's some people watching and listening to this that I don't know how to tell them, like, that's not the case. Like, I don't know how to. If you're sitting here still thinking that there's this, like, if you're still thinking you have to go to the altar, you're giving someone the benefit of the doubt based on what you believe, and you have no proof of that being true.
Right. And in fact, again, we have asked someone who was on the show, and they have said that is not the case.
Right. So, and then there was this whole thing about ghosting. Like, I don't know, like, the ghosting thing, it didn't really. I didn't care.
It felt, I didn't really care either. And again, it just felt like another level where he's like, well, I'm not talking to you. Like, he's like a little, again, he is, it all leads into the same point of view. He's a little immature. He's a little bit childlike. And I could see why he'd be like, I was his version of that story. And again, she could have just taken that one because she did dump him. So I do think when you are the dumper,
right.
If he wants to tell people you ghosted him, and if you just tell them, if they say that you didn't do that, I don't know that it needed to be brought up.
Right. And like Molly and Madison come in to be like, you told us she ghosted you. And he was like, you came up to me and kept asking me what happened. And I told you what happened, that we haven't spoken. And they're like, you said ghosted. And it's like, what are we getting this guy on? Like, and it did feel, that was one of those moments where you're like, he's not.
Right. It doesn't matter.
These women were so prepared that I was like, he's so unprepared that I was like, okay, get rid of him. Stop it. Like, it's like enough
and it
already.
feels like the women had like come together to to validate each other's stories.
Right. And yes. I mean, we're going to get to like, and I think that's worth noting now, considering the conversation we're going to have about the love square between Madison, Mason, Alex, and Meg. Because that was like a version of like preparedness that we like got to see. But let's go to Ben and Sara before we get there. Ben and Sara. Okay. Ben addresses his privilege. I mean, Ben to me did prepare in a certain way, and then he was told us that he was coached up by Jimmy from past seasons. But I mean, when he did his State of the Union address in the beginning, what did you think of this big speech he gave?
What would you say was the conclusion from that speech? I wasn't really like here. To me, didn't really hear anything new. Exactly.
Well, I think this is kind of the issue with like what, Sara was asking of him. Like, do you want him to just say Beetlejuice 3 times? Like, that's kind of what he did. He was like, these words meant nothing. He's like, I'm embarrassed of my privilege. Like, it didn't make me go like, this is a guy who's learned. Like, it didn't make me think he was like, took a class on immigration or some shit. I don't know. Like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what
anything.
people want
That's
from
what I'm
him.
saying.
Like,
Yeah.
I kind of, and it seemed like a speech to like,
I think the feedback he probably has been getting is that he, and you see this feedback, and there's elements of truth to that feedback of like, you don't think about these scenarios, you don't care about these scenarios because you have the privilege of never having to have been gay in Minnesota or to
Right.
have, to be black in Minnesota, and so you don't have to think about these things, so you haven't
Right.
thought about these things. And I understand that argument, that it is a privilege to be like not worked up about something because it doesn't affect you. So I
Sure.
think that's what he's trying, that and I'm sure that's the messaging that he's been getting, and I agree with that to an extent. But also there's like a million things that don't affect you in the world, and so I think that there is somewhat of a thing where he's like, I'm not when asked to think about those things, I'm thinking about them and giving my opinion on them, but I'm not fully in the weeds of them.
Right. It just felt like the speech in the beginning just felt like lip service. Like I like.
That's what I'm saying in
Yeah.
response to like that feedback of people who are
right.
angry at him for not because people aren't mad at him because he's anti-LGBT. People are mad at him because he doesn't seem to care that much. Right.
I don't know. You're on a show to date, and then you're asked a question, and that is like so, that you've never had to answer publicly in your life. Like this whole show, like for him to not answer perfectly, he was never going to answer perfectly. Like I more appreciated his honesty on the show than I did this like prepared speech he gave, where I was like, that does nothing. It's not like he said like, hey, I've been volunteering, with local communities or whatever, or with the LGBTQ community, the plus community. He never gave a hard example. So like this speech is like,
right. Well, that's why I think it's indicative almost of like the issues going on in America, just like at the moment. It's like, if you're not with us, you're against us. If you're not like saying the talking points that we have approved, you are like, you're a bad guy. And I think that like, I don't know if that's the way. I don't think that's the way either. And I think that was kind of what Sarah's mentality was. And that's how she got a lot of the public support, was being like, I'm the one saying all the right things. You are sure. I'll say them, whatever.
The more I watched of Ben and Sara, the more I thought they deserved each other. I thought that they both cared very much, Ben and Sara, of how they came out of the other end of this. And Ben's is a little bit more obvious because he gives his like political, like he's running for mayor speech at the beginning. I acknowledge my privilege, and I thought of. Well,
imagine what his DMs are like.
Oh, horrific! Like he's just and then Sara says that like she was open to this conversation in the pods, and then it never progressed. But like again, like
it never progressed. He never said what she needed him to say.
Right, and it's like then that is a conversation you would think we would see on camera. I need you to say what I need you to say. Like I need you to, go back on this. And it's like, I still kind of believe that he can be at his church. Unless he's at a church that is like known for like going and protesting at like at abortion clinics. Like it seemed as though that you could be at a sermon where they say things that you don't agree with, but you love the sermon.
Right. I mean, and I've talked about this as it comes to like being like your parent, like, having a parent that you don't believe everything they say, you don't agree with everything they say, but do you have to be estranged?
Right. Yeah, and you still go to Thanksgiving, even though they say that one thing when they're drunk at Thanksgiving, but you're like, okay, I'm trying to keep the family together so I don't have a huge fight with my mom because she said the wrong thing this time. Yeah,
I get these positive things out of the church, then I really love them for that. Is everything that they do completely like in line with the way I think? No.
Right.
But like, I don't know.
And now we sound like we like care about Ben. I'm just like, I just don't totally buy that Sara is this like perfect angel. It feels like she's using these causes to me to better herself, which is not really you know, like, and to better herself after the breakup, which is, to me, not a really great way to use these causes.
Well, yeah, there's an element of that too. And I mean, let's talk about what happens after the breakup, because to me, that was like the other stuff we've kind of talked about on previous episodes. Again, I think if she didn't want to be with Ben, easy to break up. Again, totally fine if she didn't want to marry him. Right. Just like with Virginia and Devin, I think she could have said it before his like 90-year-old grandma was arriving to walk him down the aisle. Like, again, totally fine if she was like, I feel really strongly about this. This is a deal breaker for me that you don't feel really strongly about this.
Her reasons for ending it are correct.
Yes,
sure. And she knows
but she doesn't end
That's
it.
my point.
But this, I think, weakens her case, is that she's goes back to being his girlfriend right after the show.
Right. And that
so it shows that it was more for the camera almost than it was for the beliefs. She continues to date him. Yeah,
it weakens her reasoning of like, I can't be with this person who doesn't agree with me on social platforms and social issues but I can understand ending it because you're like, I don't want to be married. Like I can understand. Okay, we need more time. Fine.
She doesn't even say that though. He says, I would love to keep dating you. And she says, we'll see.
Right.
Do you remember?
And so they saw
it.
Yeah. And then they saw it. Yeah. So then she goes back with him. So this is what we don't know is they get back together, but we don't know what level of getting back together they were, because then they have this plan where they're going to go to Nashville together because she's
a travel nurse.
She's a travel nurse, and she's going to do a rotation for whatever amount of time in Nashville. And because of that, she's going to have an apartment, and he was going there for a conference. So they had this plan to go together. And she drove down, and she'd have a car, and he could fly down, and he could use the car.
They discussed the logistics, yes.
All the logistics. But then they have this, like, Friday night date where Ben walks away claiming he feels they were broken up, and she walks away but doesn't claim anything at all. They even ask her, do you think you were broken up? And it's like Lauren pipes in to be like, she didn't see it that way at all. And then they're like, did you think you were broken up? And she can't answer that question. Like, it was a very big moment for her to, like, not have an answer when she had an answer for literally everything else. And then this is where she balks, you know?
Right. But then also there's, to me, the biggest, Nick and Vanessa, definitely improvement from last time. If I were them and me as an audience, I'm like, what was the fight about?
Right.
What were the words used to make you think that it ended or it didn't end? Like, to me, it's hard to pass a judgment on who's right in the Ben, Sara, Nashville situation when there's no sense of like, what was the argument? What about the argument made you think that you were done? What about the argument made you think he was still coming?
Right. But the person who wants that argument had is Sara. You know, if it was up to Ben, all's well, it ends well. Just like Devin. Devin maybe not as much, but Ben was really looking for, you know, c'est la vie, you know, like it was like, you know, and Sarah's like, no, and does kind of the ending conversation where she goes, you broke up with me, like, you know, you didn't show up to Nashville, and we're all supposed to go, whoa, he didn't show up to Nashville. But it's like, I'm with you. Like, we need to know what happened at that dinner.
Right. And she tries to demonize him for the scripted text, but every breakup text is a scripted text.
Well, this is the rub of the show. Yeah, that was to me like, what else is he supposed to write to you? Like, I guess he could be more human. You spent all this time together. Like, that could be your response.
Be a call. Yeah.
Right. You could do a call, but also like, there's no, how do you want him to break up with you? And like, also, you already broke up with him. Like, to me, the way I took it for this Nashville trip, and this is let me claim, because no one does this anymore. Everyone just says things without saying, like, this is my opinion based on the facts I know. It felt as though Sara was kind of putting him through these tests to see if he could be her boyfriend. And it seemed as though she made this Nashville trip out to be like we'll sleep in different rooms and we'll see what happens when we're there type of thing. And he was like, fuck this shit. And he's like, you're going. This is a good out for me. You're going to be gone for a month. Let me send this text when you're gone. Like, the Find My Friends thing, I know you and I were not of the generation of like tracking our friends. Like I think
Right.
that's a Gen
It's like,
Z
he
thing.
stopped allowing me to see exactly where he was. It's
Right.
like, and millennials are like, oh my God, who would ever even allow that in the first
Right.
place?
When I was like, that to me is like so not a thing. But I do acknowledge that is a thing for, the generation
Right. Especially
below us.
anything you were doing, you stopped doing it.
Right.
It's sure.
But it seemed as though, based on like him thinking it was over, I think he
Also,
was
like,
basically
I would have sent the text before I got rid of the Find My Friend.
Right.
It's like blocking someone on Instagram before you break up with them.
Right. It was a bad, the PEMDAS is all wrong.
Right.
The order
You
of
gotta
operation.
Send the text and then
Right.
not allow the, like.
This kind of goes back to the Virginia thing. This is such minutia that I don't think you were gaining new people by trying to crush him in the margins of how this ended. Like, I think if you loved Sara before, you love her still. If you kind of didn't think that she was that saintly, like as I think, and I think you were the same way, I don't think we were like changed on her. Like, it didn't make her look any better. Right. Like, I don't, and if anything, they looked like they were one and the same. Did you?
I thought it made her look worse because I thought the fact that she continued, that she was dating him after, like, it did seem like she wanted to make a statement to America that she's not okay with apathy as it comes to these issues, but like off camera when we're done, I still do want to date you. Like, if you thought about the thing, and again, like, you've spent hours and hours and hours with that person and you don't want to marry that, not to say like if you don't want to marry someone immediately you have to break up, but I just think like the way she like had handled that, and then the cheering when she breaks up with him, like, and then to go back and date him and to make yourself into like a victim there, it didn't really like hit for me.
Right. It's how much do you care about these issues? You're burying him for not changing on these issues while also being with him as he's not good enough for these issues. Yeah, it does seem there's a hypocrisy there.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I don't think that she's this hero, and I think when you use hero language and you have I actually think you do disservice to the causes that you claim to like care about.
I agree. If you care so much, don't get engaged, don't get married. That's totally fine. But then it's like do it the full way.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, I agree probably with every issue Sara like believes in. Like, that's the otother thing. It's
totally.
Like, but I just don't think the way she's going about using these platforms is becoming, it's interesting. It's even hard. She's made it even hard for us to talk about. That's why I hate her. We can't even have fun with this topic of a breakup because it like makes you like,
right.
Somehow we're on the side of Ben being a part of a church that hates gay people. I'm like,
no,
that's not what I'm on the side of.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's such a nuanced conversation, because I don't think it's even like really about that. But and here's the thing, like, I can understand why. I think it would be totally valid. It's totally valid for her to say, I care strongly about these issues. You don't care enough about these issues. You're not for me.
Right.
Like, and nothing wrong with someone breaking up for someone for that.
And here's the other thing. They bring up the TikTok thing. They bring up that TikTok that she saw. And she says, knowing what I know now about Ben, a TikTok like that makes sense. What a horrible thing for her to do. The TikTok that was made about him insinuates that he is this like an actual abuser. Like, it insinuates that he has done like law-breaking things to women. So like, not that he's just a ghoster. So like, for her to like even take that side, like, I'm like,
right. Yeah, she's like real.
You're an asshole.
It would be much better for her. I think she would look much better if she was just like, yeah, Ben's a great guy. He doesn't care enough about these issues. If she came to the reunion and like just reiterated what she was saying almost the whole season before of like, he's a great person. He's not for me. We even tried to make it work and it didn't work out. She would look better than to make herself a victim in another way after she went back to him and after she broke up with him.
Well, I totally agree. It didn't help her, but I also understand and I do think Devin and Ben are kind of one and the same. I think Virginia and Sara, what I do agree with them on is like, I don't want the world thinking these are the best guys on earth. They're just a dude. They're not great. They're not bad.
Sure.
But I need to make, like, for people to know how not great they are, I have to go a little further to let them know. Like, I think they see them, and I can understand that feeling, like, where you're like.
I think that's more what Virginia did than what Sara did.
Right. But I do.
Sara, I think she tries to make it like he's a bad guy. He's like a guy who doesn't care about anyone.
Right.
But to me, what she's saying.
I think it just came from like the same place of like, oh, these guys are going to just be like young guys hooking up all over Minnesota, and I'm going to be the one that like didn't marry them. You know, like I think that's like where it comes from. Like, oh, they're just going to go around and hook up, and people are going to think they're like just some good guy where it didn't work out. I need people to know it was more than that. You know, like. They need to know that it's like when you see an ex on Hinge or on a dating app, you're like, and you just see the clean version of them. When you've dealt with like the dirty version of them, you've dealt with the real, you're not dealing with the best pictures. You're dealing with the real pictures. And you're like, what a piece of shit. Look at him on Hinge. I can understand that. I just think it's hard to fight against. And it didn't. I'm trying to empathize with both of their reasons for doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. Like, because seemingly these were great relationships, up until the wedding part for the most part.
Right.
And it does for women. It does feel like, how could you not say yes to this guy who tells you he loves you, who's so nice to you? There's so many guys who are a piece of shit out there, ghosting women, doing all this shit. And so I do think there is, unlike for men, and we talked about this after exes, for women to be like, well, here's why he's a piece of shit.
Right.
I need to like justify to myself almost as much as I need to justify to everyone else why I couldn't, why I threw away this guy.
This is so applicable to this podcast. If you guys are watching or listening at home and you've never dealt with the U Up podcast, this is what we talk about. Like, we've talked about it. And honestly, it brings us to our next couple, Joey and Monica, because the person who did the least probably got shown the most. Like, to show, like, I think Monica, who handled this perfectly, and then because she kind of let the other person speak for themselves and let the other, Joey is revealed to be the villain.
Exactly what I said. What I had said. I mean, I said that I didn't even believe it. Really, I said it as a joke on a few episodes, or last episode, where I said that Joey has done what Dave was not smart enough to do.
You nailed it completely. Like, and honestly, it would be hard to see because I guess in the same way Lauren was like the perfect person to date Dave, to like make him, be the person that he is, and kind of like, show that he's trying to like get her to break up with him. Monica was kind of the perfect partner for Joey to like be Joey, because we find out that they're just like, that he was just asexual with her. Like, he just went straight up asexual, and they had no physical connection. And it feels like Joey didn't want to get married to her, knew it from very early on, turned into a brick wall. And then Monica tried everything she could do while he was telling her all the right things. Like, it seemed like he was saying all the right things. And she's like, and again, like, I can understand why Monica went a little nuts. She's like, why aren't I feeling good? He's saying the right things, but I don't feel good. And she's trying to make it work. She's doing everything she can for the family. I'm not feeling
like you're into me. And that's such a thing. Like, I don't feel like there's an intangible thing where it feels like you are not into me.
Right. And it's hard to say to people because they're like, look, he's a great guy. He long boarded into here. He's laughing.
He's engaged. He's marrying you.
Right. And he's good with your friends, and he loves the family, and he's a cut up. He's hilarious. He's smiling. He's laughing. Look, he's throwing socks in the bin. This guy's great. And she's like, but why don't I feel great? Like, I actually thought Monica Monica got to me, like, my feelings for her are so different now than before. And like, it's almost like what Sara and Virginia kind of wanted from the audience, I'm giving to Monica. Like, I feel for her. She got fucked over. This guy is a total douchebag.
And he's a liar. And he came off looking like the nicest, again, most Barney golden retriever guy. But then you see the behind the scenes, and he's not Mr. Fun, wacky Hawaiian shirt guy or whatever he is.
Right. She says you shouldn't have to tell your fiance to touch you and to want to be by you. Like, she's right. That would be the worst level of hell to ever be caught in. That you're like with someone that you're like, can you, like, are we going to touch each other? Like,
can you touch my leg, please?
Right. She says watching it back was a slap in the face and embarrassing. And then he tries to blame the behavior on
that
the
was
sister.
Really annoying. Everything he said as a rebuttal to this thing made me hate him more.
Absolutely. It's a lie.
Right.
He's a liar. That your sister doesn't like me, so I can't fuck you.
He also said they seemingly resolved that.
Right.
It didn't make any sense. Like, there's no reason. Like, why would it? I know that's why I texted you. I'm like, Jared, as a man, does your someone's sister not liking you make you not want to make out with them? I don't think so.
Me realizing I don't want to marry this person and being on camera makes me not want to have sex with you, and then keep not having sex with you so that at some point you want to dump me. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, so at some point you realize that this wasn't
enough.
a big surprise at all. Like, that's why the altar, they're like,
and it worked.
Hands in the air. It worked.
It worked, yeah.
Like
he was probably like, wow, I did
it. Like, and I hate to answer to commenters and internet stuff, but like, every TikTok was made about how horrific Ben was and how horrific, Dave was. And listen, I'm part of that. Dave was a dick. I thought Ben was just a nothing. Like, Joey, not one TikTok made about this guy, but he was really just being a total asshole to this woman the whole time.
Wolf in sheep's clothing. And then the thing with Madison, that was also super. That was the most enraging thing.
To me, that
I
was
just
the
check
most.
in on my friends all the time. Oh my God.
Check in with your ex, the woman you dated 7 minutes
right
after getting engaged to another woman. Like, that's crazy. That's
after you see her, too.
Again, like, I don't think these men are really ready for this verbal altercation. Just let them talk. They will incriminate themselves. Joey incriminates himself. To say, I was just sending in a check-in text to a woman that I just saw before, that I used to, as Madison was saying, dated. Like, she kept saying that they dated in the pods, which I'd never really heard it that way. Fine.
I mean, they got engaged in the pods, so it's like, I guess
right.
you gotta pretend it's the real world.
Well, I do think you zone in on people, and I guess maybe he had, I'm sure there's a point where they go, this is my assumption. They go, okay, I want to be with number 1, 2, and 3 for a second date, and you have to kind of match up as if it's like Tinder. Like, you got to swipe right on people. So whatever. So maybe him and Madison had a couple more dates than he did with other people. Joey's move, and this is like a move, like, I felt like he was like the friend of my girlfriend that I didn't trust. Because guys like this will be like, no, we're just friends. And if you need to talk about the troubles in your relationship, you can come over to me anytime. It's like that type of guy.
I'm the kind of guy who checks in on people. He tries to make it a positive thing, and you're the crazy one. I'm just a caring guy who likes to check in on my good friends after I see them in person and see that they're really hot.
Right. You're totally right. This is like the way he put it.
And
that, like,
the text he sent was also like the kind of text you would send if you were trying to like lay a groundwork to like maybe hook up.
Absolutely. That, like, I didn't buy a word out of his mouth. Like, yeah, and if you want to come over after 8 and pop a bottle of wine and talk about, this crazy thing we just got into. I made a lot of good connections in the pods. He talks about it like it's like a business connection. It's like, dude, what do you need these people for? You dated and it didn't work out. Move on. You're with someone now. You have no need to DM these people to what? Keep up for business opportunities? What do they sell longboards that you might be interested later? I don't understand.
I also don't understand why he's lying to Monica to say that Madison is hitting on him.
Well, it's kind of the move. He would, to acknowledge that he has these DMs from her. Oh, it's like, it's crazy Madison with the new color hair. I think Madison, and I do think Madison is correct that she kind of gets used as like this, like, she even said this in the pods, if we go back when, like, she does give off sexuality. She's got the tattoos, the new hair, she's hot as shit. She's like this artsy, like aloof person. So like, she's kind of an easy target to like put that stuff on. And I think that's what he was doing. Like if I'm to believe Joey's a liar, which I do believe he's a liar, this whole Madison thing, like he's going to put it on her. He's going to say, oh, I just checked in. I like good connections. Like he always uses the right wordings. This guy is smarter than the average bear.
Anyone I'm dating who checks in on someone that looks like Madison just to see how she's doing. Love the pink hair.
Right.
Just wanted to see how you're doing.
Like it was
Devil.
I was watching him and I'm like, how are we not like, I can't believe it was.
You're going to make a TikTok about him.
Right. Well, you know what it was? It was like, you ever watch a movie and they're like, you think this one person ends up being the bad guy, but then behind him is a bigger bad guy? That was like Joey. I was like, oh my God, this guy. And like, I think just
he would have gotten away with it too. It wasn't for that damn reunion.
Right. And it's funny, like when Joey starts talking about it, I was like, yep, this is who he is. Like,
right. Yeah. He stunk. All right. Now that should we move on to Dave and Lauren?
So to get right into it, it wasn't like any new news. I think Dave fell on the sword. It felt like Dave had been like punched around by America and like came in here like battered and bruised and was like, hey, everybody, I'm just sorry again. Like he had already heard all the things he was going to hear on this reunion.
Well, I thought it was interesting then when Vanessa, you texted me about this, when she's like, is she the one that got away, Dave? Or he comes in and says like, okay, basically he texts Lauren a couple weeks before the reunion and is like, so I've realized that this guy might have been planting the seed in everyone's head and I was wrong and I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, there's a few things. Okay. The guy Lauren hooked up with, which like, I just thought it was like, this is probably where Nick and Vanessa were their weakest. Like Nick having to be like, you could hook up before you go on the show, right? And it's like,
right.
Nick is like, let's be adults here. Like you just don't get it.
It's like he read like Cliff Notes.
Right. Yeah,
you know, like in high school where you're like asking the one question that the thing might, like you didn't really read the book.
Right,
like,
right.
Yeah.
I will say, I think Dave, what showed here is that Dave is too insecure to be in an adult relationship because I can understand if I'm to empathize with Dave's position, you have this guy who does want to be on TV, who does want to be a part of the show.
God.
The guy
DMs you.
He DM'd me. He DM'd another person with a podcast.
He emailed us. He posted an Instagram. People were DMing me like, is Lauren's ex coming on the show?
Oh, really?
And then they sent me a post that he put up, and the post said it was like him doing like almost like like a trailer for something, and he goes, coming soon to Call Her Daddy and You Up podcast, which is not the case.
No, this guy's like he's awful. Like he's just annoying. Like he obviously wanted to be on the show. When he DM'd me, I went to his account and I thought he was on the show and didn't make the cut because there's a picture of him as if he's one of the cast people.
That he photoshopped?
That he made. So like I looked at it, I go, oh, I guess he got cut from like the season. Like I thought he was on the like one of those people that you hear
so did
about.
I, when you sent it to me.
Yeah. So like when I got the DM, I like was like, oh, I don't know why we would have him on. Then I put two and two together that he's the guy Lauren hooked up with before going on the show that Dave was so bent out of shape about. I think Dave isn't really that smart. And I do think he's insecure and not that mature. And I do think that this guy, who is way more active than people would even believe, like I wouldn't believe that anyone would be this active in people's DMs. I do think he was inserting himself into it, and he was trying to create a love triangle, and he was trying to like get into Dave's circle and make him feel uncomfortable.
Plant, right.
And
Plant
I
these
do
ideas. Yeah.
right, and I do think it makes more sense now that like this is going to come out. Everyone's on high alert to be the evil villain from the season, and he's like, this other guy's like contacting my friends, and my sister's finding out, and like, what the fuck am I going to do? And he's too insecure to just say, I love Lauren, and love will conquer all. He doesn't love her enough to do that. So I kind of felt bad for him a little bit, as bad as that sounds.
I had conflicting feelings about it because yes, it's a very immature, he's not mature enough to be in a relationship. It reminded me of like if you hooked up with someone in like a frat in college and then the guy in the frat just keeps telling everyone that you hooked up and is like telling you, like trying to, you know, almost like make fun of you by telling everyone you hooked up. You know what I mean? It just felt like very like immature frat boy, like, and that's the vibe that I get from his, like, he wants attention, so he's kind of like fucking with you, but he's like bragging. But
you're talking about the ex or the
ex, yes,
the guy we don't know, the guy who we don't even know his fucking name, right.
So I could see like in college that almost like it felt very like you said, like juvenile thing, but also for someone to believe it or care about it, also very juvenile. And like, again, you might in college care about that kind of thing, but if you're an adult looking for a real relationship, you'd be like, this guy, you would be smart enough to be like, this guy sucks and is weird and like is kind of like almost like bullying the girl that I'm about to marry.
Right. And I think Dave, who isn't confident or serious enough to be in a relationship, couldn't go, well, I like her more than this idiot. Like I think he was distracted by it. And I hope that doesn't sound like I'm letting him off the hook, because like he
because I could see, I mean, it's not something that would be pleasant. It wouldn't be something that you'd be like happy about, that someone that you knew was like, but also it does kind of show that his friends like are like Dave. Like,
they're immature
too. That they're probably giving him a hard time about it, not because they care, but just because they like maybe are trying to bring him down a little bit. Like, oh, Mr. Love is Blind. Like your girl actually hooked up with this other guy or something like that.
And he's like the worst guy ever that we like. Lauren wouldn't know that he's the worst guy ever. Like this is some guy you hooked up with a few times. You don't know like that that your fiance hooked up with this loser. Yeah. Right. And here's the thing. If we want to go back and rewatch the show, which none of us want to do, but there is a scene where they get their phones back, and the next scene is like Lauren being like, Dave was totally different the minute he got his phone back. So like in a way that we kind of couldn't understand at the time, and we were kind of saying, well, you know, it is a small town, but like this is a different thing than we even knew it to be. Mm-hmm. If we like, it's kind of a retelling of that, because I do remember that scene where she's like, he got his phone back, and like, you know, and he acted like shell shocked, and you're like, what could be so shell shocking?
And I mean, Lauren's biggest flaw is that she's attracted to guys who kind of suck. Like that's, I mean, we talked about it with her. If you want to watch our episode, we had her on. She'll self-proclaim this, but like, she does seem to be attracted to as a mature, well-spoken, emotionally insightful person. She does seem to be attracted to like these douchebags.
She has a type. And listen, I do think Dave and the douchebag who she hooked up with before are a type. Like, I don't think Lauren is a weak person for having that type. Like, they are archetypal types. Like,
I get it. Yeah.
Right.
Like, I've been attracted to those people too.
Well, that's where it comes back to Vanessa Lachey, where I don't think she's as bad a host as Vanessa is like a bad like girlfriend. Like, Vanessa is the married woman who needs everyone else to just get married already so that they can talk about married shit. Because for her to look at Dave, who we watched a whole season of him like breadcrumbing Lauren, and then she's like, so do you think Lauren's the one that got away? It's like, shut the fuck up, Vanessa. Like, do you want her to go through this again? Like, you're trying to like get these two kids back together? No, we did this. It's over. He needs to go work on himself. Like, are you really trying to like persuade Dave into love bombing Lauren a second time? Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, you can't sniff out that this isn't the right one for Lauren. Like, what are you just trying to get Lauren married already?
She's just trying to entertain. She's trying to entertain herself.
It really does feel like that.
Yeah.
It feels like why do you need them to get together, Vanessa? Like, this didn't work. America hates this guy. Like, we want Lauren to find someone new. Go away.
Yeah. I mean, here was my thought on that also, because he says, yeah, I do think she's the one who got away, right? And Lauren, and I
rolled my eyes. My eyes are still rolling in my head.
Agreed. And I agreed with Lauren when she was like, I don't really believe that because I haven't heard from Dave in a year.
Right. But that took a lot of therapy for Lauren to say that. Like, for Lauren to say that, it felt like it was like her reaching the top of Everest and going, yeah! Like, it was it felt like it was difficult for her to even say that.
It is a hard thing to say. I can totally understand why it would be a hard thing to say that, because you really like this person and they dumped you. And so there's a part of you that probably feels not good enough for them. And then when they're like, it's very vindicating to hear, oh yeah, I massively screwed up. I regret it every day. I think about it all the time. It's extremely enticing and vindicating as Lauren, to Lauren to listen to. Mm-hmm. But I think she's totally right. And that she's like, this is just like when at the bar scene after they broke up, where he's like, I wanted to call you. And she's like, but you didn't call me. Mm-hmm. And then he says, you're the one who got away. I've been thinking about you this whole time. And she says, but you haven't messaged me.
Right.
If you've been thinking about me, you haven't called me and told me that. You just are telling this on camera to the audience that I'm the one that got away, that you think about me all the time, that you regret everything massively. Like, why are you saying this on national television, but I haven't heard this from you in a year?
When she gave that big speech, which was unbelievable, I just imagined her therapist like in the audience just going,
slow clap.
Yeah, like she was the, I don't know if this reference will work for you, but the janitor and Rudy, just the like clapping in the
totally. That's like the female
in the bowels
version of that.
Of the stadium. Yeah.
It's literally the end of all the rom-coms where the woman dumps the man who wronged her. Like Legally Blonde, the guy comes back and she goes, Warner, you're a great lawyer, but you're a really sucky boyfriend. And then she like flips her hair and leaves. And like, that's, for women, that is our Rudy.
That is our, right.
Yes.
It's so funny.
You know what I mean? True. Like that is the end of when she like finally stands up to the guy who, like, The Holiday, all of these movies, right. That is how it ends, with the woman realizing her worth.
And even more to your point, Dave did resemble the downtrodden loser dickhead ex who's like right. been beat up through the movie. Like he comes back in his suit that's like soaking wet because he fell into the ocean. And he's like, okay, I'm fine now. Let's be together. Get out of here. And she gives him one last punch. Yeah, it did resemble that.
Good for Lauren.
Good for Lauren. Listen, she's now part of the U Up family, having been on the show. Yes. And if you haven't seen that interview,
a great guest.
Great guest. Just felt like three friends talking and chit-chatting. It was really nice. So now let's go to the Mason, Meg, Alex, Madison, Mason, and Meg. This is back to something that I kind of brought up before. It did feel like Alex and Mason brought their highly trained attack dog to fight their argument for them. Like, Meg was able to put words to what they needed more than they could themselves. And that was what it kind of felt like.
I felt like Alex was somewhat articulate in this thing, where he also let her speak and kind of dig her own hole. It was funny where everything she would make, like Madison would make like a long speech about like something that Alex did that was horrible, and then Alex would let her finish, and then he goes, "That's just the craziest thing I've ever heard."
Right.
That's just not true at all. That's just
right.
Like, I'm more on your side. I mean, I was a Madison apologist. I think she looks crazier now than she did on the show. And to me, when you bring screenshots, you better have a fucking like crazy bombshell to drop.
Right.
And the screenshot she brought to me indicated that she is victimizing herself at every turn. And the screenshots she sent were not indicative of the things she was trying to prove that they were doing.
Right. Well, she became some sort of emoji translator, like to make the skull emoji and the melting face emoji. She pointed to those as if we were all gonna go, and we were right. like, and I was like, is
Not
that
hitting.
what that mean? That didn't really push it over the edge for me. I think Madison, if you're like a fan of hers after this whole thing, like you're kind of just like one to be had. Like I think you're one to be
Right.
manipulated because she uses a lot of buzzwords. She uses a lot of therapy words. She always does this. She even goes into this, well, for women are turned against each other for the
Yeah.
things of men. It's like, I don't even know what the fuck she was talking about some of the time. And it's like, she's, to me, to like her is childish. Like, when she pulled out the screenshots, like, everyone's like, yeah, they didn't even care to hear what was on the screenshots. It was just,
I cared because I was,
Me,
you know,
right.
I was a previous Madison fan, so I was
Right.
like, let's see what she's got, and then she pulled it out, and it was funny, like hearing her read because they let her read like a lot of them, and everyone she read was like so not scandalous at all. And didn't prove anything that she said it was talking about. Then she talks about Alex telling her about what happened and then having the 3 dead emojis. That doesn't mean he hates him. It doesn't mean he's talking shit about
no,
him.
I'm dead. Like, it's crazy.
It's
Like,
funny.
right.
Yeah.
That's like, it is kind of funny that they wore the outfits they were going to wear for the big reveal. Like, I'm dead. Like, I don't understand how that's even like a thing.
Right.
I did like Meg more. Like after this whole thing, like I just like thought she stood up for herself a little bit. Like I do think she was the one that got like screwed over the most, and she even made that point where she's like, I'm the one that got screwed over by everyone here. Like she had to watch like Mason literally call her his number 2, like for like multiple episodes, and then like had to like kind of have her moment stolen from her from Madison, who kind of like got in the way of her love story while also not really being that into Mason. And if anything, went from like good for Mason and Meg to like, I don't know what she's trying to get them on.
What did you think of the Mason and Meg are now best friends, but not dated? Like that part. I mean, you've had other couples who kind of tell this tale. There was something that sounded like they never let her respond to his saying that. It's like, we dated in a while and then we both realized that it wasn't going to work, and now we're just really good friends. Like, I didn't get the sense that she would have described it like that.
I think if we got more time with Mason, we would have seen him similarly to how we see like the in between of Joey and Dave. Like it feels like Mason really did a good job of cleaning up his post pod existence. Like he goes back to Meg, who's cute and fun and seems like she's like a willing, like she was willing to like see what this is.
Very earnest. Yeah.
Very earnest. So he can kind of like, I mean, if I'm to make assumptions, it feels like he took advantage of her earnest attitude and was like, we'll date and then I'll look like the good guy and now we're best friends and now we go on and now I've got this like person who's going to defend me at the reunion. Like he kind of did what Ben was
totally
looking
agree.
to do, right?
If there was anything manipulative to side with Madison on one thing, if there was anything manipulative about Mason, it did feel like he maybe was using Meg to get to this point of like, we're going to stay best friends until the reunion. And then after the reunion, like, I don't see this friendship. I don't see them being When Harry Met Sally. No. And Meg is the best thing to come out of this show for me. It's like, then fucking date her.
Right. Why aren't you with her?
Right.
Right. I'm with you on that. It didn't pass the taste test for me.
It felt like Meg could be one to be made to believe that it was her decision too, that they're not going to date, that they're just going to be friends. Do you know what I mean? When it really wasn't.
And she even says, she's like, I got screwed by both of you. Like she does acknowledge like this guy that she's best friends with, like fucked her over on this show. And like,
yeah.
So she's lucid enough to see that.
I did see, and again, I think Madison came off pretty poorly also, just as she's telling everyone that she broke up with him. Like she does seem someone who's very protective over her own ego. And, probably is not used to being rejected by men and does have a sense of like a lot of her identity or a lot of her pride comes from men finding her attractive. And I think that's something that both annoys her and she also uses to her advantage. Which both can be true at the same time.
I think you're exactly right. And I remember something she said in the pods of like, she's like, the part of her reason of going on this show was like her looks become this like thing that feels like it's in the way of her dating life. And I mean, we both said she's fucking hot in this like she oozes sexuality, you know, like,
Right.
so I can understand exactly what you're saying. I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, she both hates men and like, she just like,
and uses it to her advantage. Right. She's
right.
almost like, reminds me of, obviously it's a totally different thing, but a little bit like the female version of what Leo was doing, where he kept being like, I'm only like, all these women just want me for my money. All these women just want me for my money. But then like kind of uses his money to attract women. And I think Madison in the same way is like, all these guys just want to like hook, like they just want me because I'm hot. They just want me because I'm hot, but also like uses the sex appeal to their aid in dating, but in a way that isn't good for them. Both of those people have that.
Right. So listen, and then we get to this AD and her new fiance. He was on the British version. Is that what it was?
I guess so. Yeah.
I listen, I'm happy for AD.
Sure.
I think like that storyline has
Run its course.
yeah. I think the AD thing, like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
I my fill.
Yeah, I've had my, like at this point, like we can find a new AD, I think. It feels like they think we think about AD every single day of our lives. Like I'm not like praying for AD to find love. So happy she did. But then we had this weird music thing at the end, which was sung from the pods. They must have taped the day after we were there.
So funny, where they had like the drummer in the pods and then the guy singing, and he's like, how did I get here in my career? Like,
I was more happy for him than anyone else. Like, I was like, at least he's gonna get like the residuals. They'll keep playing his song during interstitials or something, you know. So
again, good song, a little random, didn't fully understand why it was there, but sure,
it was perfect. I thought the whole episode was the perfect amount of time and the perfect amount that I could fast forward. Like, I did need a little fast forward break, and those top 5 things really helped me out.
Oh, but it was the one real quick note on the top 5. So the number one moment, because I didn't fast forward. The number one moment was the you were gonna choke moment with Jessica's you were gonna and then. The only thing that stood out from them was Jessica gets on and she acts like she's accepting the Academy Award. Right. And she doubles down on that. She thinks it was such a great thing to say. She goes, because women should know their worth. And so I'm proud to accept this award as the number one most, the best moment of the top. She basically accepts. And I'm like, Jessica, this is you. No, this is like a moment that you should be embarrassed about. It's like an embarrassing thing that you said. This isn't like, she was just so funny that she was like, and I just want everyone to know that like, it's good to know your worth. Like, I think it was like, she basically was proud of it. And I was like, I don't think you read this correctly.
Well, I'm hearing this secondhand from you because I fast forwarded this, but like, wasn't that whole thing her saying that I'm better looking than the other person you're going to choose?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So like,
and
isn't that like
so
the
weird?
Right. Like, if this is the moment that the buzzwords of like, using your identity politics to get yourself ahead, like jump the shark, like then she'll deserve an award, because that is the craziest thing to make into a woman's thing. She could,
I know.
Like, why not just laugh at yourself? Oh, I'm the number one moment.
Oh my God. That was so embarrassing,
right.
But I'm glad that like the reality TV, I've made it to the top of something. Like she got up and accepted this speech like she was at the Oscars and fully like embracing it and pretending like it was like a positive moment for women everywhere. And it was
she's like a
cringiest part of the whole reunion.
She's a full-time influencer. And as I was fast forwarding, I was like, oh, she's on here live to like pick up her followers. Like, this is like, I'm like, yeah, this is her business.
Totally.
Now, so, well, I know that we were like slow burn season, but I loved it. Did get done with the reunion, and I kind of had a big smile on my face because I was like, man, it feels good to get into a show, to like deep dive it the way we have. Like, I really felt like we finished a good book.
Yeah, I felt like satiated.
Yeah.
Like after you leave a good meal and you ate the perfect amount. You're
totally
not still
agree.
hungry, but you don't want any more. It's a very rare feeling.
Very rare. It's funny you say that. The way you're putting it is exactly how I felt. So I just want to, thank everyone who watched these videos and enjoyed, and we want you to subscribe to our channel and check out the You Up podcast if you like this type of deep dive, nuanced dating, relationship conversation. This is what we do. And I would argue, it's the most fun you're going to have with the topic. So check out our podcast, and we're going to
every Wednesday and Friday.
Every Wednesday and Friday, the You Up podcast. Subscribe. You can listen. You can watch here on YouTube. But otherwise, maybe we'll be back. We'll do more of these, and maybe there's another show we could do. So this was a lot of fun.
For sure. All right. Bye.
Boom.
Kate McAuliffe is our senior producer. Our editor is Emily Freed. Candice Maniga is our senior social producer. Our associate producer is Will Maxwell. Additional production help from Shannon Jimenez Sasson. Be sure to follow us at u.up.podcast and send us your emails to uup@betches.com.